So, Roanne,
Hi.
is your father actually a tantric masseur? And if he is, can I have his number?
Wow. What an opener. He is. I don't think he is anymore, but everything that I said in the show was true. It was all happening.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll still give you his number though. It's fine.
Great. I think I'm all right. I think I was focused on the comic effect, but I appreciate the sincerity there.
I'm also a matchmaker.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I'm single, so.
All right.
Okay. Tell me about the show.
So it is an hour of autobiographical stories, and many of them funny, some of them not so funny. That's my favourite style of putting together tragedy and comedy. I think that's where we get the best laughs and the best tears. Yeah, and it's like I called it My Father the Tantric Masseur. There's a few stories about him, but mostly it's about me.
So how does your father feel about your trading of his trade?
Listen, this is the what's the word? This is the consequence of being my family. You know?
Okay.
It's like something I used to say out going on stage.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I should have said, Roanne is a comedian, and today we're talking about the importance of laughter and good humor, even when we feel that the world around us might be in a disastrous place. So we're going to talk about that because it's really important in the run-up to Christmas, New Year, and as we enter the next year, I think, to do that with good grace and good humor, and to really know what it is to just be joyful during Christmas. I know how cliche that sounds, but there we are. We're living the cliche. So tell me about when you entered comedy and how that's gone.
Do you know, I think it really started back in 2016 when I did my first immersive theatre job, and all of my colleagues, who are now, you know, my best friends in the whole wide world, were all comedians who was just doing this to kind of like keep them going whilst they weren't on stage doing their solo shows. And being with all of them kind of gave me the confidence to then think I could make and write my own shows. And so I did, and I developed the show with Joel Samuels and Lolo Brow, both two incredible artists in their own right. And we made the show My Father the Tantric Masseur, and then that went really well. Toured it not internationally. We did.
Wow.
We toured it nationally. It hasn't left the UK. Okay, we'd love it to, but it hasn't. And then we made our second show, Who Murdered My Cat.
Who murdered your cat?
I'm afraid you're gonna have to see this show.
Oh, right. Okay, when is it coming out?
It's been and gone. It's fine. I'll tell your camera.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. All right. I want to know to you, I'd like to know for you, what made you gravitate towards it, a comedy, and what role it fills in your life. You mentioned jokingly that if it's the price you pay for being in your family, that your personal life will become part of your comedy life. But can I ask about that? How does one inform the other, and what role do both play?
I think my parents are the funniest people I know. Whether they know they're being funny or not is a different matter.
Right.
And so actually, like, calling myself a writer of comedy is sort of rude, because what I'm doing is just writing down what they say. They're the writers and I just perform it. But my mum is incredibly eccentric and like wise and generous and lovely, but also absolutely bananas. And so she informs a lot of the work and comedy that I write, as does all my Algerian side of the family.
So your mum's Algerian?
My mum is Algerian, yeah.
Okay, wow, the drama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then my dad is British-Irish mix. And so all of that together creates for a lot of comedy.
Yeah,
a lot of comedy.
Half like very repressed and the other half not at all.
Yeah, but both peoples have been oppressed and colonized. And I think in that sort of those areas and like those communities of people, like I have an Irish friend and we're always laughing, and I'm like, I swear the Irish and Algerians are so closely connected. I mean, we know how to make a joke, you know? So yeah, I think my culture, but my family, and laughter was always in the house. Yeah, amongst other things, but always laughter was around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has your career gone as a comedian? Tell me about not making people laugh. The struggles.
It's well, I mean, I had my 2 solo shows. There was also some comedy there's a lot of laughs in the show that then came out of my theatre company called Bet and Lev, which I'm a co-artistic director with Joel.
Yeah.
And we had our show called Remyth that we've just finished a tour of. And there's lots of comedy in that. And within it, we've reimagined the tragedy of queer lives in terms of the oppression that's existed for centuries. And by reimagining, we've placed all of the stories in worlds of joy and happiness and laughter and tranquility and full expression. And then also I do a lot of work with No Direction Home, which is a stand-up collective that's alongside Counterpoint Arts, or produced by Counterpoint Arts. So there's tours around the country of performing it, but also we work with refugee and migrant folks who want to learn stand-up, and that kind of builds the collective.
And I bet it also really builds their confidence.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a language that's kind of like thrust upon them often. Do you know what I mean? They're like, but also I've come out of some of those sessions and my cheeks hurt and my tummy, I've got like 7 six-packs. I mean, and what is happening in their lives is deeply upsetting, and difficult and tough. And yet in this room, we're managing to find hilarity and laughter and moments of joy amongst it all.
Great. I'd like to just take a step back and go back to your career as a writer.
Yeah.
What did it take to get that started? I know that artistic careers are not, they're not the most well remunerated. They're difficult to get into. They are sometimes also quite inaccessible. They tend to be something that a lot of middle class people can gravitate to, but not many people from other backgrounds. So can you tell me a little bit about what took you there? What made you want to write and how that went?
What took me there was, in terms of what made me want to write, is I initially joined the industry as an actor.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'm not trained. And I quit my job because I was just like, I want to be an actor. This is great. I was working in TV production with a salary and security and a safety net.
Wow.
And I decided to quit because one Christmas I did a panto at an amateur dramatic society called Questers. They're amazing. Go and see the work they put on. The theatre's beautiful. And I was Jack in Jack and the Beanstalk.
Amazing.
And we did 34 shows across Christmas. And I was working 9 till 5 and then running across town to then go and do this pantomime. And I was like, if I can do essentially a full-time acting job and a full-time job, I would just want to do this thing. And so I quit, which was, in hindsight, incredibly stupid because I had nothing to go to. So I was just like, oh, now I'm broke with no job and no one will hire me because I'm not trained. This was not smart. This was not smart. So then I went back into temping to survive and then tried to get some headshots and get on a website and have a profile and things like that. And then in the January after I quit, I got my first acting job in the immersive theatre gig.
Wow.
And that's where I met everybody, where I then was encouraged. Then I found out about Vault Festival, which so sadly doesn't exist anymore.
What did it used to do?
It was just incredible. It was in Waterloo underneath do you know the tunnels?
Yeah.
So it used to just take over there from January till March. It was an 8-week theatre programme of comedy, theatre, music, drag nights, like incredible stuff. I think it was there for a decade and then it's no more. But that, if that didn't exist, I wouldn't be where I am now. They took a chance on me when I just submitted an idea. They gave me a week. And there's nothing like a deadline to make you make a show, right?
Yeah.
So I had my first week of my Father Tantric Masseur there, and then it went to Edinburgh. And I've not been funded for that. That was me just working my arse off in order to be able to pay for it all, because it is really expensive.
So can we talk about the economics of it? So how does it work? You haven't been funded, you're putting on a show, there are people you need to pay who are helping you write or not? Or
no, so the three of us created it without, no one was paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we were just coming together through the love and the passion.
How was that you're going for?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm not there anymore. And luckily the show is lights up. I
Great.
speak for an hour. There's no set. There's no props. Lights down.
Okay.
So in terms of that sort of cost, very, very low. And so what I needed to raise money for was accommodation in Edinburgh.
Right.
And the structure, like the business model in Edinburgh and with many of the venues, is that you pay afterwards. So there's some upfront fees for like being on the website, part of the brochure, your registration, things like that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards it kind of gets all balanced out with ticket sales and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's really useful. So it means you've got to sell.
Okay. And they share a bit of the risk, or they give you a bit of time. And they're not sharing the risk. No, they're going to make the same amount of money.
Yeah, they have their like,
Yeah.
I think it's called a maintenance fee, MFF or something, where it's like there's an amount that you're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
But if the sales cover it,
Great.
they're sorted, and then anything over comes to you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. And how did that go down?
Really well. I couldn't believe that people were coming to the show because I was nothing. I was just Roanne McCluskey.
But it's I think the name is
really
really good branding. So the name definitely helped. Like it tells you it's going to be spicy. That's interesting. But can you tell me more about the premise of the show? What was the?
Yeah. So it was. I wanted to tell stories about sex. I find sex super interesting, and not like
Korean kind of.
No, but from a way of being like, it's where many of us have come from. It's something that happens to most people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's all part of our lives in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And so the summer before, I was on holiday and I was just speaking to everybody. I was like, so tell me. I was like asking questions, getting data, being like, oh, okay. I just find human beings incredibly interesting and within sex. So I told stories about like the first time I realized sex was a thing, talking about like body, consent, sexuality, the discovery of my sexuality, and then also what it is like to have, the advice from my father and the advice from my mother differ very, very much.
Oh.
And so all of that, yeah. There's one part of the show where I talk about my dad dropping me off to university for the first time, and we've like unloaded the car, and as we're coming out from my room we've put all of the bags in, I'm walking him back to his car. This guy comes out of the room opposite, and there's like, you can hear he's like playing jazz in his room. It's like the fiction of what you think university is going to be, It's like jazz playing, can smell like cannabis. It's like, oh my God, he's so cool. He's like this Adonis. He was just like, hi. I was like, oh my God, hi. Anyway, I was like, okay, I'm just going to jump my dad. Like, yeah. Anyway, we go downstairs. I'm walking my dad back to the car, and he goes, Minty, that's what he calls me. He goes, Minty, do you know what don't shit on your doorstep means? I was like, no. He was like, all right, bye. And then in his car he goes. And then obviously I found out exactly what that meant, because unfortunately I did shit on my doorstep. But that was his advice. He wasn't going to explain it, and off he went. Yeah.
I advised in a very similar context that to a friend.
Really?
Yeah. And it just didn't. I think he just disagreed with the premise.
No, I would say the premise and the advice is deeply correct.
I agree. Anywhere else?
Yeah.
Would you like to explain it to our dear viewers?
Yeah, I'd say if you're going to sleep with or engage in a romantic relationship with someone, just do it outside of a 2-mile radius to your home or workplace.
I think it's very good. Very practical advice.
Yeah. Go further afield.
Yeah, maybe 1 mile.
Yeah. Okay.
And sit under a mile. It's a bit awkward. Yeah. Don't be too restrictive. My God. Like, do you have an occasion?
Okay, fine, I know.
On a dating
time to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Are you happy to talk about your sexuality?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can we talk about that and how you discovered that and how that also has informed your comedy?
Oh my God, it's going to be a long story. I'll try and keep it succinct.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Shit. Oh my God. I think I always knew I was gay, but nothing in life was allowing me to believe that or follow that path. I then came out, not really with a label, just not heterosexual, but then I ended up in a relationship that was an abusive relationship, that was with a man, and the way it was like I was further shut in the closet, if you will.
Right.
But then actually through being on stage and talking about my sexuality certainly gave me a lot more confidence in who I am and articulating that. And then I finally came out as a lesbian. Way too late in life, but just in time to meet the love of my life, who is going to be my wife.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very soon. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's exciting. Oh. Wow. And thank you for being here 2 weeks before your wedding. Yeah, you can keep that shirt. That's really fascinating. From a cultural perspective, how did that go down with your Irish family and your Algerian family? Because as you intimated, I think between Irish and Arab culture, there are lots of affinities.
Yes.
And sometimes not for being very open-minded about certain things.
Sure. Maybe. I think I'm really lucky that all of my family proved themselves to be peaceful and loving and generous first and foremost. And regardless of any religion, be it Muslim, Catholic, philosophical, spiritual, I've been fully accepted and loved. And that goes for my family in Algeria as well. And I honestly, it wasn't like the smoothest road in the world, but the fact that they're saying congratulations for my wedding and they wish they could be here, but visas are visas.
Yeah.
Is something I never believed could ever happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think I had a conversation with a friend of mine when we were very, very young, and he was coming out. And he's a black guy, very tall black guy. Like he just was so scared. Like, how am I going to tell my family? And he found exactly the same. He told his family. They were so compassionate, so loving, so accepting. And all the fear that he had, it was for naught.
Yeah.
And the trepidation about how do I tell people? Will they accept me? Will they love me?
Oh, yeah.
It's very difficult. Has that dynamic, the cultural dynamic, or affected or been, how has that interacted with your comedy?
In terms of my cultural background?
Yeah.
Loads.
Oh, yeah.
I think Algerians are the funniest people you'll ever meet, or at least my family are.
Okay, explain.
You're like, hold on.
Wait.
Thank you very much.
Explain yourself.
Yeah, as every country's like, no, we're the funniest.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what?
For what it's worth, I think Italians are the funniest people you ever meet.
I think everyone can be the funniest, Emma. You know, I know. I don't know if I agree on that.
Maybe you're right. I think everyone can be parodied. Does that make them the funniest?
No, I mean, I guess for me, it's not, I'm even thinking parody. I'm like, my fondest memories are of laughing. And like my Uncle Juba, my Tata Samia, my mum, those three particularly, and my Uncle Faisal. I mean, like, there's like a piece of dirt on the floor. They're going to make like a 30-minute joke out of it. And you're going to be like pissing yourself laughing. And I don't know how they do it. Do you know what I mean? They find the joke in the mundanity and everything. And there is one joke that they have been telling. Like every time I see my uncle, I'm like, tell it. It's so good. And I tried to tell it to someone recently. I was in Bosnia for work, and I had with my two colleagues, I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you this joke. And I tried to tell it. And do you know what? I was just like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Do you want to make this the most?
I need to train. Maybe when I'm 70, suddenly it's going to be like handed down to me, and finally I'll have it and be able to tell the joke. But
it's not in there yet.
Until then, yeah,
you're...
I'll go on my own storytelling style, and one day.
Great. So, okay, we're in an economic downturn, I would say, of sorts.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not a great time. A lot of people feeling the squeeze on their pockets, but also job availability increasingly restricted. The job market, I think, is contracting. The economic outlook it obviously could be a lot worse, but it's not great. And there's a lot of conflict and violence in the world that continues to be unresolved. How do you find it in you to laugh in that context?
It is hard. I mean, the work that I do is either in the arts or in the DEI space.
Yeah.
Those two have taken a real hit.
Yeah.
Especially this last year. So it has been tough. And also, we have family in Gaza. The world is on fire. So the last 2 years, it has been hard. But I think digging deep and finding those moments to laugh at the absurdity of the world. Maybe not. Maybe it's that mundane thing I was talking about before. You find ways of still smiling, still laughing.
Yeah.
Really, like, maybe not all the way to laughter, but I swear to God, every morning I wake up, I open my back door that I now have, and I look and I'm like, there are trees, there's a sky, I'm alive. And I force myself to smile no matter what, because we have to. And for me, that's how I'm like grateful to be here.
No, that's really good advice. I think appreciating the small stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's not advice that is explicitly given, but I think it's something I can draw from it for sure.
Yeah.
And it resonates with me too, because I think the focus, if we can think about the big picture so much that we forget the small things that we can control and that can bring us joy.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very sad. Like we shouldn't lose focus and lose sight of all these wonderful things.
Yeah.
But I know I felt somewhat guilty sometimes, like feeling like, am I enjoying myself too much?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when it's one thing to say, okay, there's a war over there, but when closer to home you feel unsettled in whether it's a political situation or an economic situation, that's even so much more on your doorstep, and the feeling of kind of instability gets a lot closer. And I bet it also increases tension. We know it increases social friction. We see that all around us.
Absolutely.
So can I ask for your advice going into Christmas?
Yeah.
How should we, what can we do to laugh with our families and argue with them less? Less argument, more laughter. Tell us, as a comedian.
I don't know whether this advice might be annoying. So I'm going to give it a go and see. I would say, and this is between brackets, if your family have caused you active harm, this is not what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I'm talking about to avoid those arguments, accept them as they are, because they're not going to be here forever. And just try and reframe and be like, do I need to shout and argue? Or can I instead make fun of them in the most loving way so that this can end up like tension? Laughing, all it is a release of tension.
Sure.
Right? The best jokes, especially if you're like bringing in the political or the dark, you're like, okay, here we go. We're just going to build up the tension, build up the tension, build up the tension. Then you've got one thing that's like popping that tension. Everybody gets to go, ah, ha, 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 ha. Or something like that.
That's how you laugh, okay.
Yeah. So accept them as they are. Don't choose this time unless you really need to try and change anybody's minds, because that's not how people's minds change. And do your best to try and enjoy it.
That's really good advice. I think you're right. I think one of the, absolutely, as you said, not thinking about situations where your family has caused you active harm, harm. Putting that to one side. I think within most families you'll find massive political differences, hugely varied points of view on the world and perspectives on the world, and some views that you might find really reprehensible. But is this the time to engage with it or try to change it? Because is this how change happens? I think you're absolutely right. That isn't how it happens. How do you change people's minds?
Okay. 2 potential tactics. That's not arguing or debating or shouting.
Yeah.
The first is find some common ground. Find something that you agree on and then build from there and try and see if you can have a really kind of a conversation that's built from something that you both can share as a goal.
Yeah.
The second is try and keep it light. I think that's part of the reason why I sneak in politics to all of my comedy. Because if people are laughing, they're slightly like, what's the word?
The defenses are down.
Yeah, defenses are down. That's the sentence I wanted. Thank you. Their defenses are down. And it just comes at people in a different way, that they're able to process it rather than, either being kind of shouted at, preached at, or argued with.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so closing remarks. 3 I'm really fascinated actually with this conversation because you've spoken about how you've changed career and also what we wanted to talk about, which is laughter.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd say a piece of advice you'd have for someone who's looking to change their career
Okay.
or to just do something drastic
Okay.
that's different, and a piece of advice you'd have to keep yourself in good spirits through dark times.
Okay. Okay. Say the first one again.
Sure. Okay. So we've covered a lot
You're
of ground.
changing your career.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll repeat that.
Go on.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation.
Yeah.
I'd like to close on two things.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice that you'd have for someone who is thinking of making a drastic change in their life? You mentioned your change in career, so tell me, don't just quit without having any money, but then
Yeah.
what else? What would you say?
Okay. So you have to kind of look and see, do you have enough to keep you going for a few months?
Okay, financially.
Financially.
Yeah.
And that maybe means that you need to cut back on some of the things that you usually love to have, the luxurious sides of life. I mean, luxury, what does that mean? But I do think do it. There's nothing like doing. I mean, I've learned to not quit by quitting. If I hadn't of, would I still be working that job and not where I am now? I sort of had to just do it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we fear that we have to stay in something for a really long time because of our CV or because it's fickle to change our mind. And actually trusting your gut, going with where your heart's taking you, just do it.
Great.
You'll learn.
And then the final thing,
Yeah.
what about advice that you'd have for someone to stay laughing through dark times, whether they're experiencing a terrible Christmas
Yeah.
or going through personal trauma?
Yeah.
What can we do to make our lives a little bit more pleasant?
3 things that I do. 1 is I meditate. And I think that releases tension in a way that means I can be light and playful and therefore laugh. The second is I force myself to smile. Especially if I'm on my own a lot, I can realise that I might just be around the house just being like, and so I'm like, and then like my whole body's like, oh look, I can do that thing again. That's really nice. And it sounds insane, but really reminding your body what it can do, it sends like messages.
Signals.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the third,
There's evidence for that as well.
yeah, I think so. There's like laughing yoga or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's evidence that if you put a pencil in your mouth, just to mimic the muscle, like the muscle structure that your mouth would take when you're smiling, it actually lifts your mood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then I think the third is either call someone you know that makes you laugh. There's no reason to call other than just to say hi, and you never know what will come out in the conversation.
Yes.
And if they're not available, look back over old photos and videos of times that did make you laugh, and it will make you laugh again.
That's great advice. Thank you so much, Roanne.
Thank you.
Really loved chatting to you, and have a
Thank
great
you for
Christmas.
having me. You too.
Thanks.